This is a little bit of a different format today. By way of introduction, I'm Jackson Millan, the Wealth Mentor and the co-founder and CEO of Aureus Financial. I wanted to do a little bit more of a, digestible format than some of the podcasting content that we've been releasing lately, which is about an hour. I wanted to condense some kind of words of wisdom and some thoughts around, things that I picked up along the way, and really document the journey as we continue to build Aureus Financial, and really give people, a quick 10-minute crash course, hopefully a little bit of motivation, and what we're going to call it is words from the wise, until such a time as I can come up with a better name. So I just wanted to have a bit of a chat, share some thoughts, and hopefully add some value to you guys. So, it's been an interesting start to the year. We're 28th of January today. It's a Sunday. I'm in the office, which is probably not practicing what I normally preach. But in a kind of startup business, we've got to really be all hands on deck, and we've got some really cool projects that we're working on at the moment. One of which being our Wealth 101 Academy, which has been something that Sam and I have been really excited about. We've been working on for 6 months now, and we're really at the tail end on the home straight of being able to release it, which is really exciting. So as a bit of an introduction, the Wealth 101 Academy is aiming to be an online e-learning platform that helps people get access to high quality, no BS financial and wealth education at a really attainable price. And this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about today. It's an observation that I've had for a long time, that the education that exists in the wealth and finance space is a whole lot of bullshit, to put it bluntly. There's a lot of thought leaders out there and really big names. I don't want to name and shame, but I'm sure that when you think of wealth and finance education, there's probably a few names that come to mind. And it really pisses me off because of a couple of things. One, they make the education that they put out there either really expensive, meaning that the barrier to entry is very high, and that means that it excludes a large part of the audience that could really benefit from the education in the first place, which is something that annoys me. And the other part is that they make it really sophisticated and sexy. They talk about the things that are topical and people want to hear. And I've spoken about this a little bit, that most people don't know what they don't know. And what I mean by that is that there's so many people out there that believe sexy and sophisticated strategies are what's going to get them to financial freedom. And I know from first-hand experience, from things that I've done myself and from things that I've observed my clients doing, is that there are no sexy, sophisticated solutions that work. A lot of it is up to chance and luck. And I was only having a conversation with a colleague today. I caught up with a friend of mine by the name of Daniel Sudorov, who's a phenomenal real estate agent working for Aureus Realty in Riverwood, which is southwestern Sydney. How I come to know Daniel is my father and I owned a property together, and probably about 2 years ago, we decided that we wanted to sell the property because he wanted to buy a house, and there was a lot around it. And Dad got sick, and we were really pushing to try and get the property sold. And Daniel basically guided us through every stage of the process. Really, we're kind of 2 years on now, and we've really just got to the point where we've sold the property nearly 12 months after my father passing away. Due to a lot of complications that I won't go into today. Daniel, as an individual, is a phenomenal guy, and really an outstanding agent, and has some phenomenal values that are really unprecedented in his industry. And we were talking about a few things about how people look for sexy solutions to age-old problems. There's always these kind of strategies that go around in circulation that gets people talking, and generally comes by way of barbecue advice. The Sunday at the family barbecue of somebody talking about this this really cool strategy that they did, or really people who really don't have, haven't earned the ability to advise other people, and they're preaching these strategies because they think it's the right way to build wealth from a very ill-informed position. And we're talking about why this happens. And I think that a lot of it comes down to ego. I think that at a superficial level, at a surface level, a lot of us are driven by ego. And we're conditioned socially to be this way. In light, or I guess in lieu of the fact that a lot of us haven't achieved financial freedom yet, we go to the next best thing, which is kind of the immediate gratification that we can get, that kind of feeling that we get of fulfillment when people see us in a particular way. And it's self-destructive because it's one of those things where, as human beings, unless we could admit our faults and come to terms with the fact that what we're doing isn't necessarily the best thing for us, then we're not able to implement the right solutions. And by putting up this facade of success, or that we know what we're talking about, we're ultimately limiting our ability to be successful. And one of the things we spoke about today, Daniel and I, were really about the mindset and the power of goal setting and the power of perspective. We were talking about how a target is a target that you set for yourself, whether it be a wealth creation target or a target at work or a target in your business, is really a limiting factor that we apply to ourselves. Now, of course, there are circumstances where there is a limit or a cap to the amount of money that we can make, or the amount of wealth that we can create, or the amount of growth that we can achieve in our business. But more often than not, people undersell themselves when it comes to setting goals. And we were talking about it, I guess, what makes somebody a successful person when it comes to being able to I guess, turn their dreams into a reality. We'll frame it as that. And I think it really comes down to the ability to visualize your goals. As you could probably see, for those of you that are watching the video here, today actually, one of the reasons why I came into the office was to put together my vision board. And it's something that I've been talking about doing for a while, and it occurred to me, I go, no, today's the day. I'm going to come into the office. I'm going to edit the podcast that's going out on Tuesday morning, and I'm also going to print out the things that I want to achieve on my vision board. And it's something that it allows me to take a step back from my day-to-day of getting caught up in this kind of this cycle of being a startup, and this cycle of trying to get everything done that we're trying to tick off in our business, which is really me working in my business and not necessarily working on my business. So I wanted to put together this vision board so it gives me a constant reminder of the things that motivate me, and I guess my idea of fulfillment for myself. And I think that I want to be really honest here. I've tried to be as real with myself as possible. And looking at these things that are on my vision board now, I've got a rat rod 1952 Chevy pickup truck that I've always wanted. It's been something on my wish list. I've got my book, but I've also got a New York Times best-selling author image there. I've got a 1942 Harley-Davidson Knucklehead motorcycle, which is something that I've always wanted. I've got a 1989 Rolex Day-Date Presidential in 18-karat gold. It's a little bit wanky, but there's some story behind that. I'll come back to that. I've got some microphones here with a packed-out audience. And I've got a photo of the house that I want in Brazil, which also my screensaver here is looking out across the beach of the house that I want to buy in Brazil. I've got a BRW Rich 200 list, a Porsche 911 GT3, and that's it for the time being. And I'm going to be real here. I want to talk about why these things are significant to me. And as an individual, the way that I'm motivated to achieve is by having smaller milestones or I guess measurements of success. And I was having a conversation with my business partner Sam the other day about this. And Sam's motivations, and he's a very goal-oriented person. He spends a lot of time working on his goals, revising his goals, breaking them down into an action plan. And it's a phenomenal way that he goes about it. But for me, I find that my success comes in how I reward myself for my success, of being in a position where I can have enough wealth, enough income, and enough success to be able to reward myself at certain milestones throughout my life that gives me the ability to once again take that step back and reflect on my journey. And there's a methodology behind that works for me, and I think that when I've drilled down into it at a fine level, it's something that I've picked up from a young age. That I was always a terrible saver. I was always really good at working towards something as long as I had something that I was working towards, that I had complete clarity that I could dedicate myself to. And once I achieved that, unless I set another goal immediately, I would find that I would fall back into old habits. So this is a way for me to be able to reward myself for certain achievements that I want to make. And this kind of flows into, I guess, what I want to achieve and my goals for 2018 and beyond. Sam and I partnered together to set up Aureus Financial, and we're working really hard to create all of these areas in which we can create a meaningful impact in as many lives as humanly possible. And we want to create a revolutionary business that acts as the catalyst for change, not just in Australia, but across the world when it comes to wealth education. And we want to set the gold standard for how people get wealth and financial advice and really get coached to be their best version of themselves. And I guess these things are really ways that I can reward myself for being able to deliver on that. To give you some context, the rat rod pickup truck is really my idea of being able to have a certain appearance when it comes to challenging the status quo of our industry. Many people believe that a typical financial services person, whether it be a share broker or a financial advisor, all these types of people have to wear a white shirt, a blue suit, and fall into this cliche of what a finance professional should look like. And I guess all part of my persona that I've tried to create for myself with the long hair, the beard, trying to dress casually, is that I want to try and challenge that doesn't have to be the case. You should be an individual and you should be comfortable in yourself, and you should be comfortable in the way that you present yourself into the world and allow people to accept you for you, not part of the stereotype of what people try to box you into be. And for a long time, I tried to meet those stereotypes. I remember old mentors used to tell me, you can't have facial hair. You've got to have your hair cut short. You've got to do it in a particular way. You've got to dress in a particular way. You've got to drive a certain car. You've got to wear a certain pair of shoes. And for a long time, I bought into that bullshit. And it come time where I stepped out into my own business, where I said, no, stuff this. I'm going to do this my way. And if somebody is going to judge me at face value just because I've got a beard and I don't wear a suit to work every day, then I don't want to do business with them anyway. So I want people to look at me firstly, and most likely they'll make an assumption, but then be proved really wrong off the back of what I'm able to show in regards to the amount of value that I add to the world. And that's part of me living up to that. The watch, so 1989 Rolex day date presidential. So 1989 is my year of birth. And I'm a big watch geek. I love anything mechanical, as you can see, lots of mechanical things there. I love vintage, particularly vintage Harley Davidsons, anything vintage. I've got a vintage Omega Seamaster Day-Day, which was another treat to myself for achieving certain milestones in my life. And this is just another way of me rewarding myself. The way I see this is that, yes, it is a big investment, but it's an investment in something that's going to last forever, and it allows me to pass on to the next generation. I guess I always liked the idea that I would have a son one day, and I'd be able to set an expectation that if he was able to achieve his goals, and I was able to condition and teach him the values of being an achiever in his own way, of course, that this would be a way that I could reward him for having that level of achievement. My father actually, and I hadn't thought about this for a long time, from when I was a little kid, my father always used to have his knickknacks. He collected everything possible. He was a bit of a hoarder, actually. And he used to collect jewellery, and some of it were family heirlooms, some that he'd picked up over the years. And every couple of months, I'd always ask him to open up the safe and show me the collection. And we'd sit there for a couple of hours, and he'd go through the story and how he got it and what it meant to him and all that kind of stuff. And it was a really, really good memory of mine. And in that safe, he had a box, and in it had a pen. And it was from a brand called Cross. And at the time, I had no idea, but it looked really, really cool. And my dad said to me, he goes, Jack, one day when you go to university and you graduate from university, I'll give you this pen. And it's a very, very special pen. And I always had that as a motivation. Funnily enough, I never went to university out of high school and immediately got a job. I'm going through my MBA at the moment, and I've got 4 subjects left. But I was never motivated by that, although it was appealing to me. The goal was too far in the future, and I didn't know all the steps that were required in the meantime to get there. But in any case, it was that sense of achievement and something to work towards. So this is something that I really want and strive to work towards. Once again, it's something that I can have on my wrist. I can look down, and it's a reminder of the work that I've put in to be able to build my business, and really building my business is a reflection of the amount of lives that I can change. So that's really the thought behind that. The microphones, it's speaking. I was always terrified of public speaking, and most people were, of course. It's most people's biggest fear. And with all of these things that we're doing, my book, the Wealth 101 Academy, all of these thought leadership initiatives, I really want to position myself as the number one thought leader in this industry. And in order to do that, I've got to combat my fears. So I've made it a goal of mine to try and get on the biggest stage in front of as many people as I possibly can within the next 12 months as a goal. And I'm just going to still be working on that and further defining that. But it is a little bit ambiguous, but I've set the time frame that this year, get on the biggest stage I can in front of as many people as I can and add as much value to those people as I possibly can. So that was a little bit of a reminder of that. The motorcycle, I'll skip that. It's something that I've always wanted. It's kind of the dream motorcycle. It's very expensive, collector's item, and something that I want to strive towards. The house in Brazil. Wow. Okay. So as you can see, it's a beautiful place. This is where I met my partner, Anna, in a place called Florianopolis in the south of Brazil, which is an island to the south. And when I went there, I saw this house. Whenever I travel overseas, I always try and look at the local real estate just to get a matter of perspective and get an understanding of what the standard of living would be and kind of visualize whether I would live there. In most places, I couldn't visualize myself living there, but here I can. So my goal is to own this house, which is right on the beach in a place called Campeche in Florianopolis. which is just a very beautiful part of Florianopolis. And this house is really where I see that I can kind of fit into the whole vision of what I want to create. My dream is that I want to spend probably 4 months of the year here, and I want to run client retreats where I want to take people out of their day-to-day lives, immerse them in a place where they can unwind and relax and focus on themselves and focus on their businesses. And this house was really a way of me being able to create an environment where people could really get in tune with their goals and identify exactly what they wanted in life. Is it a beach house in Brazil? Is it flexibility to spend time with their family without feeling guilty? Is it being able to have that work-life balance where they can reward themselves through all their hard work? So I could just visualize being able to set up out there and have workshops and really try and empower a lot of people to do a lot of great things. Good thing is there's also a podcasting studio in the basement. There's 2 recording studios. Hopefully the audio is a bit better than the stuff that we've been putting out, but just bear with us. We're getting there. The Porsche, my dad always wanted a Porsche. My dad always was a big dreamer, and he had some great achievements in his life, but I think that a lot of the goals that he set for himself, he fell short. And we're coming up to 12 months since his passing, so that was kind of a way for me to offer a tribute to him as a way of, I guess, having that other memento of the success that I'm able to create for myself over the next 5 or 10 years. So he always wanted a red Porsche 911. And the BRW Rich List, I think that these are all lag indicators for what we want to create. In our type of business, as wealth coaches, as educators, our success is really dependent on how much value we can give back to the world. And my business partner, Sam, has this motto, and it's something that's very powerful, and I've always had a lot of respect for it, and I believe it as well, that you should give more value back to the world than you take. So these goals that I've got of being a New York Times bestseller, of being on the Rich List, all of these things are lag indicators for the impact that we can make in the world and the amount of value that we can add back to the world. And I truly, truly, truly believe that. I know that everything that we're doing and everything that I've done in my life has brought me to this point in order to make a significant impact in the world. So all of these things that we're creating are really with that purpose. And we've tried to put a high level of value on the amount of impact that we can create for people and giving people the ability to access these tools at an affordable price. So yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell, and the goals that I'm working towards. I know that this next 12 months is going to be really busy. Like, it's crazy that it's the 28th of January already. It seems like we've blinked and we've already lost a month of the year, and there's so much more that we want to achieve. So I'm really excited to put this out there, really document our journey, document my journey, and really try and share some valuable insights with all of you. I hope you get value out of it. If you've got any ideas, anything you want me to talk about, please feel free to share, comment, shoot me a message. And I hope this is inspiring. I hope what you take out of this is that you should set goals. You should have clarity around what you want in life, and you should live life on purpose. There's no point just cruising through life, taking it easy, playing it safe. You should always chase what you want. And the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to fail. And I was told by one of my mentors, you've got to fail fast. So let's hope that we can have many failures on our road to what we're trying to achieve here, because failures are going to teach us lessons, and those lessons are going to create meaningful impact in not only the lives of our clients, but in our family and our friends and in ourselves. So thanks for listening. I hope you've got something out of it, and we'll catch you next time for Words from the Wise. Take care.